What up, this is your boy Tank, and you are checking out my man, David Duane.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with the one and only rock star on the mic, David Duane, in the place to be right here. Right now, we've got our boy, R&B recording artist. R&B general. If you guys don't know, you guys are late, but Tank is joined back with us to talk about the While You Wait EP, and he also has the Elevation album. So if you guys are late on the album, you need to download that and stream while we're talking about While You Wait. What's going on, Tank?
Tell them if they late, they better get on top of it. You better talk to them.
Listen, you know how I feel about your music. You know how I feel about R&B. So I'm always telling people if they asses is late, it's time to always catch up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So let's talk about Elevation before we talk about the EP, because 2019 was an amazing year for you. I love the Elevation project, the tour with you and Fantasia, Robin Thicke, the Bonfire. Let's actually talk about that tour experience versus, your other tours that you've been on, because that tour for you really was, that was a dope lineup. How was that tour experience for you?
Dope lineup, man. I think more importantly, like really dope people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There was never no weird moment with, any other artists, you know what I'm saying? Or there nobody posturing or trying to be bigger than anybody. Like, it was just really cool people on tour, man. Bonfire's amazing. Robin's amazing. Tasia, that's been my sis forever. So it's like, there was, in terms of that part of it, like there couldn't have toured with better people. You know what I'm saying? Technically, it got off to a rocky start. You know what I mean? I was definitely trying to push the envelope on some things. Our first, because of how the tour was set up and some of the difficulties that we had putting all the pieces together. You know what I'm saying? Like my first full rehearsal, tech and everything was the first show. You know what I mean? So you can only imagine it takes a second to, it's a few shows, 4, 5, 6 shows to get it running like a well-oiled machine. But once we finally got it rolling, man, it was really cool, man. And my thing is that I'm always trying to offer something extra in terms of how I perform with R&B. R&B is known for this, very super kind of scaled down and intimate thing. And I just have this vision of just R&B being reviewed and viewed on a larger scale. You know what I mean? I feel like we should be in arenas. I feel like we should have production. I feel like we should shoot. If we want some explosions, we should have some explosions too. Shit, why not?
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just feel like R&B is worth that. You know what I'm saying? Along with breaking it down and having the intimate moments and all of those things. All of that makes sense as well. But we shouldn't be limited because we are R&B. So it was a dope tour, man. Dope tour. Everybody got to show out and show off, and we did well.
Exactly. And it definitely was a phenomenal tour. The last time I got a chance to see you, man, I missed this tour, was the Savage Tour to the tour with Leela James Savage and Soul Tour. And just that energy that you constantly are exemplifying is crazy. Like, you live for the stage.
Absolutely.
And I think that's
amazing. It's got to be a moment. Like, and when I watch, I go to shows and I see the Ushers and I see the Justin Timberlakes and I see Chris Brown and I'm like, man, why can't our generation perform like that? Why can't we have, moments and big moments where it's just visually stimulating as well as sonically. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta. I just want more for it. You know what I mean? And that's just how I fight.
Exactly. So why do you feel like the appreciation for that generation of R&B in that caliber that you're in kind of does not get that respect that it should deserve? I feel like we have talked about this before, but what are your thoughts on it now? Because it has changed over the last couple of years that we spoke.
I just think that the platforms have kind of moved past it. It's not us. It's not the creators or even the lovers of it. They haven't moved past it. It's the platforms that have to promote it and put it on display. You know what I'm saying? It's where we don't have a place at urban or mainstream radio anymore. It's where brands don't look to sponsor R&B artists and sponsor their tours and do brand ambassadorships with them and all of that. You know what I'm saying? It's weird to me because, And I'm not. I'm not about throwing anybody under the bus. I want people to get theirs. You know what I'm saying? On any level. You know what I'm saying? I think if you work
Right.
hard for it, you know what I'm saying, then it's sure. But it's crazy how this thing about love, and relationships, and sexuality, and I'm looked over so that you can sign a drug dealer or ex-con. Like, it's crazy that that's the dynamic. That you know that's cooler than me saying you're perfect just the way you are. Like somebody saying, you know what I'm saying, I just sold 10 bricks and shot out the house is cooler than is more profitable or better for your brand to sell. You know what I mean? Than what it's just living confusing times for me. But
Yeah.
it doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the fact that I know that there are people out there, a gang of people out there who still want and need what I do. And so I keep doing it.
Absolutely, and as you should. And I love the fact that you said that, because even me now going into the age of 27, I don't want to hear that crazy nonsense. I never wanted to hear that. You of all artists know that that's not the type of shit that I be on. Like that's just not.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. It's not relatable to everybody's life, and it does come relatable to, but when you talk about true art, we've got to talk about love. We got to talk about self-esteem. We got to talk about, being perfect and what it is, to actually embrace and love and, embracing self. We can't hear that in that, because we're embracing in craziness. And, there's some artists that I will say do their thing and they do great with their delivery with those messages. Some, on the other hand, I won't say no names. It's just
Right.
not where we can really tap into.
And it's not, there's no balance. So that's my only argument. It's like, cool, if you want to play that, that's fine. If your brand is into that kind of thing, that's fine. Where's the balance? Where are the people that are into what we're in? Like, there are plenty of people who are into love, who are into relationships, who are into being just better human beings. And where's the love for that? You know what I mean? It's like the love for that is completely gone out the window. You know what I mean? And just kind of everybody's catering to shock value and the most foolish thing you can do or say to get attention. And as long as there are clicks, then people will buy in. And that's just an unfortunate place to be in.
Right. And you mentioned radio as well. And Dirty is still doing phenomenal on radio. And you've always have made sure that you've had a radio hit going. And I read a post from you earlier this weekend, and it was about, just competing and, the older generation of R&B having to competing with the new generation. Why do you think that people think that is an existing thing versus everybody coexisting on the charts?
Well, because we can't, like I said, like I just spoke about the balance, because there is no balance. So, in order to fight for space, you have to kind of compete against the things that are happening. Like what happened with, older artists is they didn't want to change or conform in order to compete. And not necessarily against each other, but just against the times, the sound, the lyric, the cadence, the melody. All of these things have evolved. And, for the true singers, like, nah, I ain't doing all that, all that talk singing and hippity hoppity all on my, like they just kind of stood on their tradition and their principle. And I've always been of the mind of, I'm competing. Whatever's happening right now, like that's what we got to be on, and we got to be at the forefront of it. Like, like you look at the NBA, like when Steph Curry started raining 3-pointers from everywhere you can think of, and then Klay Thompson on his side, they the Splash Brothers. Now you got every kid in the world. I don't care if he's 5'10" or 6'10", he's trying to make 3-pointers, right? Because the league has made the adjustment, and every team had to adjust to these guys who were just elite, who won a championship with this style of play. And now you don't even have a big man no more. Centers are obsolete. You know what I'm saying? If your big man can't run the floor, if he can't spread the floor or make a 15-footer or even make a 3-pointer for that matter, he's not necessary. We don't need him. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what music is well. Like when the nuances and the things change, then, you got to be able to change and evolve with it. And that's what I mean by competing. Like part of what we do is being professional. And being professional means understanding the terrain completely. And either you're going to operate within the changes of the terrain or you're not. When the memos go out, hey, we're not going to be doing this anymore as a company. We're going to be doing this. Are you going to adhere to those changes, or are you going to say, I quit, I'm going to go work for somebody else? Like, you have a choice.
Right. That is definitely a big choice that you have, because a lot of people are like, oh, either I just do or I don't. Well, if you don't, then the opportunity is off the table for you to really expand on your market. And honestly, even with the consistency of talking about sex and love, especially on Elevation, it's like you kept that and you jazzed it up even more than what you have. And I love that, because like you said, you've got to. Because if you don't evolve, everybody's going to be like, oh, this is the same old shit. And sometimes the same shit works, but you got to change the delivery.
Yeah, you gotta like it can be the same you, but like you grow,
Mm-hmm.
and growth should be expected and respected. You know what I mean? And that's all that I say. Like I stay in it. You know what I'm saying? From as a writer and producer for all of these young cats coming up to writing and producing for myself. So I'm naturally in it. I naturally evolve. I'm not really fighting with myself to be something more than what I am. You know what I'm saying? I grow with it because I'm in it, and I just allow that part to shine.
Exactly. And I like this album because you collaborated with artists that you've worked with before, like JoJo, Luke, and Candace Boyd again, and Keith Sweat. Like, oh my gosh. How important
Yeah.
was it to work with those artists that you have known for years and really being able to tap into a sound? Especially on somebody else with JoJo, her verse was
Crazy.
everything. Her verse was
Yeah.
everything.
You know what? Like the songs just kind of spoke to who I needed. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? And I'm not scary about features and all that. I don't really get into people. People say, yeah, and I did my project by myself, no features. Like, okay, and like that doesn't really that doesn't show an extraterrestrial layer of genius or creativity to me.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
just creating art, period, is the goal. You know what I'm saying? Whether other people are involved or not, just make the art. You know what I mean? So for me, the art spoke to the people that I needed. When I made that record, that Do You record, I said, ooh, I need Sweat on this. It sounds like him. I got to have him. You know what I'm saying? Candace was in the studio. I said, ooh, you could be dope if you was like kind of like that girl that's always on Keith Sweat records. And then you say like, you know what I'm saying? I was kind of mirroring, a moment that had happened before. JoJo, I was just like, JoJo, listen, let's do something. Let's have a moment. We haven't had a real moment since we
Right.
both got on Black Ground, since we both been free. Like, let's have our freedom moment, you know what I'm saying, on this record, and let's kill them. And she was all for it, and she got on there, and Jesus Lord.
Y'all freaked that.
Yeah,
When I
she just
first
did
heard that,
her
I was
thing.
like, shit.
Yeah, and then with You Mean More, I was like, I got to get Luke, I got to get Major. I got to, if there's a message that I want to get across, a heartfelt message, I need to get some guys who can deliver a message.
Mm-hmm.
And those two guys, to me, are those guys. They can deliver a message like none of them vocally. And that's how it works for me. You know what I'm saying? If the art says, man, this is just you, then it's just me.
Right.
If the art says, this will sound crazy with such and such, I'm like, ooh, you know what? You are right, art. Let me call them. And that's how it works.
Yeah. And what was the energy that made you push yourself a little bit more when it came to the writing on this project versus like, Savage and Sex, Love, and Pain too?
I think it was just as you kind of stretch the boundaries of, of what you're capable of or even allowed to do for that matter, you just explore. You know what I mean? And for me, it was just like, oh, this feels good. You know what I'm saying? It feels a little far, but it feels good. So I'm going to live with it. You know what I mean? And so it was just about, just tampering with those boundaries and seeing where the chips fall, you know what I mean? And the people spoke, you know what I mean? They love it, you know what I mean? So, that I have that at my disposal. I have that in my arsenal. You know what I mean? So now I can put this on the list of things that I can do, that I can continue to build on. And then the things that you also do very, very well, that you are just the master at, you know what I'm saying? Hence comes a EP like While You Wait.
Exactly. So let's talk about the record You Never Know, because when you played that snippet on Instagram, man, I lost my shit. And I'm going to tell you why I lost my shit. Because I'm going through that entire situation that you're talking about on that record right now, currently.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I'm like, why is he telling? Like, why are you telling my life? I was like, I need you to drop that now. I don't know if you seen me say it on Twitter. As soon as you went off, I was like, yo, brother Tank, that record.
It just like when you break situations down like that, you know what I'm saying? Easy to speak to somebody who's experiencing it, you know what I'm saying, or have experienced it, or you know what I'm saying, or when they get in the situation, they have the now ammunition to know how to, you know, conduct themselves in that situation. But you know, for me, it was just like, let me just speak to a situation. I know people are going through this. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the church kid in me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Always trying to find the life in music. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I appreciate you for doing that. I really do. I listen to that song daily, and it just gives me that encouragement to be like, you know what? This might be some crazy shit that's going on right now, but it can get better once they
Absolutely.
realize that they're going to miss out on a good thing. I won't
Yes,
say no
sir.
names, but they're going to hear this. So, and with this project, also, you didn't add any tracks to it yet. It's just all piano. Do you think that you'll do like a full studio version of these records and add some tracks in there? Because I can hear it in my head.
No, no. I think it's that kind of project, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
me and the piano. It's what people love to see at the end of my concerts when I
Yep.
finally get to the piano. And, you know, it's what they want more of. You know, oh man, I wish you could have got 30 more minutes of just him and the piano. And you know, and here it is. Here's 20 something minutes, and who knows? I may even add some more songs to it to give you, you know what I'm saying, to give you a full 30, 40 minutes of Tank on the piano. Just
That would be genius.
just doing what I do. And it's just, you know, it's just having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. Like me having the conversation, you know, with the people who are listening.
Exactly.
And it has to be intimate. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can't be a whole bunch of people in the room. Can't be a whole bunch of band members. Can't be a lighting guy. Can't be a sound guy. Can't be a whole bunch of people in the room. Because then sometimes, you know, the other person might not want to say what they really want to say because it's not intimate enough as a moment. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, when you break it down and make the moment intimate, then you can get into the true, you know, the true feelings. You know, you can really get into the heart and the spirit of a person. You know what I'm saying? You can connect. And that's what this project is all about.
Exactly. So let's talk about self-esteem, because I love the message behind that record as well too, and just, you know, being, you know, just the recognition of saying, hey, if I'm the guy in the relationship, this is what I need to be doing. This is my role. You know, this is how I'm supposed to make you feel. How important, you know, being a married man is that to constantly show that within your partnership and marriage?
It's 100%. I mean, it's up there. You know what I'm saying? If you're making a list of things that are important to do, you know, catering to your significant other's self-esteem is way up there. Because I promise you, when she gets out in the streets, it's going to be some dudes and some women.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We live in the world catering to her self-esteem. And how she's able to handle that will be based on how much of it she's already getting. You know what I'm saying? If she's not getting none at home, when she get out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying? She get out here amongst these wolves, you know, it's going to be hard, you know, to turn that off. It's going to be hard to say, nah, I'm cool. I don't want to hear that right now. When it feels so good to hear it. You know what I'm saying? When it's something that you've been missing and something that you've been hoping somebody would do, and now finally somebody's doing it. You know what I'm saying? So you want to cater to that. You want to make sure that that woman understands how beautiful and how important she is before she leaves the house, so that she won't be looking for that importance or looking for that validation in terms of her beauty outside of the house.
Right. Because if she has to go looking for that outside of the home, that's a problem in your situation. And there's something that
Problem.
you have to do. And I think that guys and women, there are times where we lack that. And sometimes we got to be like, okay, let me get back to giving you what you need on a day-to-day basis and telling you how important you are.
And we fall short. You know, we're not perfect.
Mm-mm.
You know, we don't do everything we're supposed to do every day that we're supposed to do it. But, you know, we just have to be mindful, you know, of the things that are needed in our relationship. And, you know, think about the things that you would like to feel. Think about the things that you would like to hear. Trust and believe that the person on the other side would like the same.
Exactly. So before we even talk about the EP even more, Instagram has been buzzing with these battles. So I gotta know, what is your thoughts on, the producers and songwriters going head to head? Because I know people want to see you go against somebody.
No, I think it's dope. I think it's dope for music, and I think it's not like a bad competition. It's not like people are mad at each other. You know what I'm saying? Like this is really just a display of like, yes, it's fun. It's like a display of dope music. What you done? Well, this is what I've done. And let's you know what I'm saying? Let's put it on the line and see who like. It's really a cool thing, and I think if you're thinking it's anything other than that, then you're missing the point. And if you're not participating because of that reason, you're missing the point. You know what I mean? So I think it's dope, man. I think that, when I watched Jonte and Neil go at it, it was cool for me because I already knew Jonte. I already knew the fire that he was getting ready to light up.
Oh yeah.
And it was interesting to see. It was interesting to see that nobody else knew. You know what I'm saying? That everybody was like, Neil. And I was like, okay, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Here he comes.
They were so woke after that.
Oh, and so that part of it was fun, man. It was awesome and really dope to see.
It definitely was fun to see. Would you want to participate in it? Because I know your name has been thrown around a little bit.
Yeah, I just don't know who. I have. There will probably be rules for me because I do so many different things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's not just my records. It's not just me singing. It's stuff I've done for a gang of other people as well. You know what I mean? So when you start lining up the stuff I've done for myself and the stuff I've done for other people, like it gets, the catalog gets extensive. And so it's just a matter of, who would want to, who ain't tripping on competing in that space. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Right. I think one artist that comes to mind, I think you and Rico can do it.
Me and Rico could do it. Rico got some bangers too.
Mm-hmm.
Rico got bombs, super bombs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, I hope I can keep up. he got super bombs. Listen, I go to him. He's one of the guys I go to and be like, hey man, write me a song, dog.
No, but that's amazing that you even go, to him to even get some records, because a lot of artists are even afraid to go to other songwriters and be like, oh, let me get a record. Even when you happen with Eric sometimes, like you guys collaborating.
Yeah, we got playing records together. I'm on a few of his records. He wrote You Don't Know for me.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Eric go back. I mean, Eric used to be signed to me.
For all the people that didn't know that.
Yeah, Eric used to be signed to me. Like Eric is my family. Like that's my loved one. So you know what I'm saying? Like I'm involved with whatever, anything the young fella wants to do. Period.
Exactly. So are you working on any songwriting placements right now with any up and coming artists or artists that we already know at this time? Or just kind of focus on your music?
It's kind of focusing on the label. Was doing some stuff. Probably gonna get back in, do some more stuff with Monica. She got some fire stuff going. So she called me in. She's like, let's get some work in. I'm like, let's do it. What you mean? So we've been doing that. And, just been focusing on my artists, man. We got Feather. She's signed to Motown. We got our kid, Gay Ali, who actually writes and produces all his own stuff. So he don't need my help. And
I did see that you and Ye have been working together now.
Yeah. That kid is phenomenal, man. Really, really dope. So, just focusing on that label part of it. You know what I'm saying? If people need records, JD reached out to me the other day, like, hey man, I need you to write something cool. I'm on it. I got you. Like I'm in that kind of space now where, I'm just kind of focusing, of course, the other stuff, the comedy, the acting, maybe 1 or 2 albums left for me, in this space, but really the executive part and getting to those other sides of artistry that I want to dominate.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you touched on a few key points before we even wrap up. Wanting to do 1 or 2 more albums in this space. Do you feel like that you will just kind of more so focus on the full executive side, or will you give us music that's in a different sound wave?
Yeah, I'll focus more on the executive side. You know what I'm saying? I think that, my contribution as an artist, it is what it is. That part of it, it speaks for itself. But I think that to truly bring it full circle is I have to offer that same opportunity. I have to offer that same thing to somebody else. You know what I mean? I have to give that back. and we got to win. You know what I'm saying? We got to see it all the way through. I want somebody else to have 20 years, in. I want somebody else to have, 9 Grammy nominations. I want somebody else to have, all of these things that I'm blessed to have, and I want to help facilitate their next move. People don't realize that Dr. Dre isn't Dr. Dre because he stayed in the spotlight all this time. He's Dr. Dre because he stepped back and said, you know what, let me create this empire. And then you get Eminem, and then you get 50 Cent, and then you get all of these things that come along with that. Then you get Beats by Dre, and these guys are billionaire, and you're still talking about him as if he's in the forefront, as if he's still in the spotlight. And he just really took time to create it the right way.
Exactly. And that's a very small way to approach it, because a lot of people get it misconstrued when they hear, oh, this is my last album or the last 2 albums that I'm going to drop as an artist is concerned. They be like, wait a minute, why? Why don't you want to do that? Are you not passionate about the music? No, sometimes you have to still be passionate about the music. We didn't say that we weren't going to continue touring, but we just have to change the narrative and focus on other endeavors.
Absolutely. Only way it works. The only way I got to where I am is because I put 100% into me. And so in order for me to get to that next place, I have to put 100% into the next thing. And that's going to take away from this 100% that I'm putting into me. So, that's just how it works.
Exactly. So acting, I know that we're all, quarantining right now and everything else, but have you started reading any scripts and auditioning for any upcoming projects?
I read some voiceover stuff, audition. That was really cool. And I'm also in the process of creating my own moment, my own thing. You know what I mean? So there's a thing where you kind of audition and wait for people to give you the okay to be part of their thing. And then there's a thing where you create your own thing. You know what I mean? We're in a space right now where, even with music, like with acting, you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And so, now it's about being creative in that space. And I'm focused on that as well.
Wow, that's amazing, because you do have to create your own platform in your own moment. A lot of people feel like,
why not? And let people see it. Let people be like, oh, dope. Okay, well, let me call them too. You know what I mean? Like that becomes your business card when people actually see you doing it. You know what I'm saying? And not waiting. And then they want to be part of your business. You know what I'm saying? You're not just calling them trying to be part of theirs.
Right. Because I tell people all the time on my social media when I go live, it's like, what's the purpose of waiting when God gave you a sense of talent and purpose and determination? Yep. Follow what he wants you to do and create your own. Don't try to jump on everybody else's bandwagon, whether it's music or if it's, you want to do hair or whatever it is that people can do. Create your own. Even if you want to do YouTube story times, create your own type of story time.
Man, you ain't saying nothing but a word. I was like, people love to hear me tell stories as I'm doing my comedy. I'm like, how else to get people warmed up, to me showing up at their improvs and all of their comedy spaces, why not just show them on my Instagram? So I started Tank Tales, and I tell these funny, cool stories where people can now digest, my sense of comedy and my timing and all of these things and kind of where I'm coming from. And now when they see me, it's easier to process. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait for him to tell a joke versus I can't wait for him to sing or take his shirt off. Now we've added to it. You know what I mean?
Right. You're adding that different layers where people are like, I can't wait for this, and that. It's broadening the brand. And that's what young artists, existing artists, or any up-and-coming talent has to realize. You've got to give people more. Don't just put yourself in a box. Give people more.
Absolutely.
Well, Tank, thanks so much for this interview, man. I definitely appreciate always, catching up with you, being able to talk about, the music and everything, because you're just constantly killing it and just pushing and pushing and pushing. You're not stopping, and I love that.
Man, listen, it ain't gonna stop. In one way or another, you'll see or hear me. I promise you that.
Absolutely. So, Tank, let the fans know where they can follow you as far as your social media is concerned, or where they can download the brand new While You Wait EP and also the Elevation album.
Social media is easy, at The Real Tank. That's it. Just follow me at The Real Tank on everything. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at The Real Tank. That's it.
And you know what I forgot to ask you? After we're done with our quarantine and stuff like that, do you have a tour lined up? Because that's literally what everybody's been saying on social media. When is the tour?
Yeah, not yet, but I mean, we got to get more of a grip on what the date is going to be coming out of this, so that things can be set up. What up? This is your boy Tank, and you are checking out my man David Duane.